So, that last review was very long, wasn't it? Almost a half hour, I think. Well, thankfully, this review is not going to be the same thing. Because this one, I don't want to give the dignity of, full background and everything, because it's not a good movie. Usually, if it's not a good movie, I want to try to get through it as fast as possible, that way we can keep moving on to the good stuff. Not to mention, we only have 2 more of these Universal Monster films left for the year. And then we're done with the classic horror cycle. So, without further ado or delay, welcome back to Animation Station, welcome back to Monster-Mania, welcome to my very short, brief, and to-the-point review for the pointless, boring sequel, Revenge of the Creature. A sequel to Creature from the Black Lagoon that barely has any right to even exist. Everything about it is worse, and it only has one significant thing to its name. That being that it is the big screen debut of the legendary actor/director known as Clint Eastwood. Yes, this was Clint Eastwood's debut film. However, unfortunately, he's not the main character. He just plays a brief little side role. Now, granted, it's a solid performance and it's a solid character, but it only makes me wish that he got to be the main character of this movie, because I feel like even in his younger days, he could have definitely made this at least a little bit more interesting with his acting. Because I always have a lot of respect for Clint, even if I don't like all of his movies, because he's a guy that, a lot like Lloyd Kaufman, just doesn't take anybody's shit and just makes whatever he wants to make. And acts whatever he thinks is worthy of his talent. I respect that. Because most of the time nowadays, you have the shills that'll literally do anything for a quick buck. Looking at you, Rachel Zegler. But Eastwood, he has always been a genuinely fascinating guy, and a great actor, and in some cases, an amazing director. Like, this dude has made so many movies that it's hard to count. It almost rivals Roger Corman in some instances. The problem is, that's literally the only good thing we can talk about with this movie. Though I will say that him being in this movie at all, especially his first ever debut film, leads into a pretty funny self-referential meta joke in Back to the Future 3. One of the only moments where that movie is also at least tolerable. Seriously, I haven't gotten to Back to the Future yet, but man, the third one sucks massive balls. But that's a discussion for another day. Let's get straight into my written review now for Revenge of the Creature, so we can go back to pretending that this flaming dumpster fire doesn't even exist. Enjoy. Most notable thing about this very pointless sequel is that it's the debut of the legendary Clint Eastwood in his first ever feature film, a fact that even got a nice little meta joke in Back to the Future Part 3. But since he's not even the main character, it's sadly nothing more than a fleeting moment of fascination, which predictably leads to the rest of the film being a dragged-out bore due to weak writing, bad characters, lousy second-rate storytelling that is borderline non-existent, a far inferior Gillman design that just looks outright stupid, even for the time period, especially in comparison to the Gillman from the original, which looks amazing even now, low rewatchability, and some of the worst acting out of any Universal Monster movie. Again, excluding Eastwood, who's solid despite his brief screen time. This is better off just staying in its watery grave, because all this is simply not worth helping resurface again. Skip it. You can skip it and not miss a thing, because it barely has any connection to the original at all. It might as well be a completely different Gillman and a completely different movie. You know, a Karis Mummy situation, if you will. Regardless though, this movie's not good and not even close to being passable. Like, I wouldn't say it's bad per se, but it's just really, really boring. And it's definitely a sequel that is very, very much unnecessary and felt like a desperate cash grab from Universal to try to breathe a little bit more life into this Universal Monster saga one last time before they just end it all entirely. Problem is, they didn't make a good movie. They made a very tedious bore. Because the Clint Eastwood scene is the only scene about this movie that's actually somewhat notable. Outside of that, this movie just kind of flat out sucks. Even if I don't give it a score of bad, in my opinion, it's still bad. And that's why, in my personal opinion, my final verdict for Revenge of the Creature is a 4 out of 10. It's not bad, but it might as well be. It's boring, it's tedious, it's unnecessary, it's pointless, it's slow. It's just a plain pain in the ass to sit through. And that's all I've got. Yeah, I know, like I said, this review's a lot shorter than the other one, but it's because the other one actually is such a great film that it earns the right to have full background details and everything. This is a very lifeless, pointless sequel that was rushed out by Universal for money, and thankfully blew up in their face. Because even now, outside of the Clint Eastwood connection, nobody talks about this movie. Literally nobody. And honestly, it should stay that way. The only reason I'm reviewing it is because I'm reviewing all the Universal Monster films. If it weren't for that, I'd skip it too. And that's it. That's all I've got for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this on this weekend day. Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And of course, feel free to hit the hype button if you so desire to get this higher up in the algorithm. And with that, we only have 2 more Universal Monster films to review for this year before we say sayonara. And one of them is another pointless sequel, and the other one is another Abbott and Costello adventure. So, we're ending on a really weird, bizarre note, but I think it's still going to be a fun time. I'll tell you all about it in our next video when I review the first of these 2 final Universal Monster films with Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy.